Okay, so Pisces. Before I get to Pisces, I just want to remind you guys that if you are interested in an archetypal astrology reading with me, where I help you understand what archetypal images, what archetypal symbolism is looking to be expressed through you in your life, and through understanding that, I help you get in touch with your own inner hero, so that you can become the hero of your life story. If you're interested in an archetypal reading with me, in order to do that, you can go to my website, www.thetruestnorth.com, and look at my services in order a reading there. Or you can you can email me any inquiries at thetruestnorth@gmail.com. You can also go to my Facebook page titled The Truest North, and you can follow me on Instagram at at The Truest North as well. All links will be below in the description. Okay, so Pisces, last but never least in my heart, Pisces. You have the Pluto South Node conjunction at 23 degrees of Capricorn happening in your 11th house. This is happening on April 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Actually, it's happening all month, but you'll feel it. It'll be especially strong on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And again, Pluto in the South Node is the urge to release, relinquish those old worn out structures, Capricorn, that are no longer helpful to our spiritual growth and our soul's purpose here. And it's happening in your 11th house of friends, networks, groups, organizations, hopes, goals, and dreams, your community, your political ideology. Those are all found in the 11th house. The 11th house is also any internet presence that you have, and it's your audience. Now, your purging, this psychological purging and letting go, is going to be related to something in that 11th house. So it could be, some kind of friendship group or some kind of social group that you have to let go of, that's no longer healthy for you. Some kind of, even a little clique, that would be 11th house. Or maybe some organization or network that you're a part of, some political ideology may not be it for you anymore. It's possible that a hope, goal, or wish that you once had is no longer is no longer a viable option for you. So you may have to let that go. So yes, there you go. The Saturn-Pluto South Node conjunction in the 11th house, the pressure to release those things. Saturn will station retrograde on the 29th. Pluto will station retrograde on the 24th, where they will remain retrograde until September and October. And planets that are retrograde appear to be closer to the Earth, and therefore symbolically they take up more of our conscious attention. They require effort, reevaluation, reassessment, review of the principles that those planets stand for from us. So it requires a lot more conscious effort. And with Saturn, it's always going to be the structures that we've built, the work that we do, the responsibility and limitations we perceive ourselves to have. And then, so there's going to be an evaluation of that related to those 11th house topics that I just mentioned. And then Pluto is always about what needs to be destroyed, transformed, and then rebirth. Pluto is very much like the phoenix rising from the ashes. So what needs to be let go of? And I urge you to do this work of letting go over the next few months. So because when dealing with Pluto, and when dealing with Pluto, it's always better to like consciously and willingly let go of what needs to be let go of, instead of, resisting and then having Pluto just like blow the lid off of everything, especially with that upcoming Saturn Pluto conjunction at 22, 23 degrees of Capricorn that we have coming in January 2020. You want to be ready for that. So, okay, so the new moon, which is happening April 5th at 4:50 a.m. Eastern and at 15 degrees of Aries, is happening in your second house of finances, self-worth, resources, possessions, and values, Pisces. So you are being urged to take action, courageous action, to initiate some new project related to the second house. Now, again, the second house is your resources. So your money, your possessions, your talents, those are your resources. It's also, what you value. Do you value yourself? The second house is your self-worth. So maybe taking some action related to something that you value, or how you use your talents. It could also be the second house is that which supports the physical body. And it really has to do with the five senses and the throat and the food that we eat, because that supports the body. So it could be related to one of those topics as well. Now, Mars, the ruler of this new moon, is transiting Gemini, and that is happening in your fourth house. Mars rules Aries. That's why it rules the new moon. And Gemini is an air sign. It's very mental, very concerned with learning, communication, the exchange of ideas, and the understanding of its environment. And for you, that's happening in your fourth house of home, land, family, and your inner emotional state is very much the fourth house. So these new moon projects, and I say projects, that you're going to be initiating, because Mars, the ruler of the new moon, is in Gemini, and Gemini is a very mutable sign. So you're going to be focused on at least two different projects here. They're going to be related to the second house, issues of the second house that I talked about, and the fourth house. So there's going to be some kind of mix of that symbolism. Perhaps you take action to use your talents to okay, so since the second house, this just came to me, I don't know, but since the second house rules the throat and the voice, perhaps you do, and it rules mute. It's also related to music as well. So maybe you decide to pursue some new musical aim that involves your family, fourth house. Or it could be that you take action to pursue some kind of, or you take action to like invest some of your money in something related to land or real estate, fourth house. So you just play around with those things. It'll manifest, specifically different for everybody depending on your individual chart and life story, but you get the idea. Now, on the 14th of April, we're going to be having a fire grand trine, and that's going to be happening in your second house, your sixth house, and your 10th house. So 3 planets will be forming a fire grand trine, and that's going to be a really lucky day. Fire grand trines are really lucky. They provide energy, faith, hope, optimism, and inspiration and love. And for you, that the second, sixth, and 10th houses have to do with our material needs. The second house is your the physical resources that support your body's existence and your body's comfort. The sixth house is your daily routine, and the 10th house is your career and your status out in the world. And so you're going to have a very easy time, a very lucky day that day, getting your physical needs met, like having your resources. You're going to have easy access to resources, easy access to support from the material world. So that should be a great day with your money, your at work. And regarding your career, use that day to your advantage regarding any of those topics. Again, this is happening on April 14th. And, it's going to be even more awesome for you if you have planets in fire signs that are being brought into this grand trine configuration. If you have planets in those signs natally anyway, it's just going to really light those areas of your life up and make you very lucky there. The full moon at 29 degrees of Libra is happening on April 19th, and that's happening in your 8th house. Now, this is the second full moon in Libra that we're having this month. The first one being the one that happened last month. And full moons are a time of fruition, revelation, a time of completion. And in the sign of Libra, it has to do with the completion of Libran issues. So one-on-one partnerships, relationships, contracts, negotiation, equality, harmony. And for you, that's happening in your 8th house of intimacy, deep bonding, that which you share with another person or with other people. So shared resources, other people's money, other people's finances, other people's talents and possessions that you have access to. And it, maybe it's about allowing yourself to maybe you're imbalanced in that you can't, because Libra is about balance. So maybe you found that you're not completely balanced when it comes to receiving support from other people. And this Libra full moon is going to make you more balanced there and allow you to receive more gracefully. The 8th house also is it's a deeply psychological house. It has to do with, what we tend to repress, what we're ashamed of, any traumatic experiences that we have go into the 8th house. Any deep research or the study of hidden knowledge, like mystical knowledge or occult knowledge, or the study of psychology would be the 8th house. This full moon could be a revelation regarding some of those topics as well. Now, the ruler of the full moon is Venus in Pisces, in your sign Pisces. And the ruler of that full moon, Venus, that's going to be in your 1st house because you're Pisces, the house of yourself, the house of your physical body, your your personality, the how you do things, how you initiate things, how you interact with the world. And so the Venus in Pisces is going to be forming an inconjunct to the full moon on that day. Now, an inconjunct is always about some kind of adjustment that needs to be made. These two areas of our life are not quite gelling. And so, being in the house of self and in the sign of Pisces being the last sign and the sign of oneness and retreating, it's going to always have to do with some form of surrendering, letting go, perhaps sacrifice, that tends to be a Pisces theme. And being in the 1st house of self, it may mean that you have to, the adjustment needs to be in the form of you letting go or surrendering or sacrificing something in order to access something about the way you do things, like on a personality level, in order to have access to that opportunity at greater intimacy or greater knowledge, or greater, merging with another person and what they have to offer you. And then on April 22nd, we have the Sun conjunct Uranus at 2 degrees of Taurus. This is happening in your third house. Sun conjunct Uranus is always about stimulation, excitement, and the ability to, the desire to break free from routine. And that's happening in your third house of your left brain, your logical mind, your thinking, how you communicate, how you rationalize, and how you make use of your environment. So expect the unexpected in those areas on that day. And it can manifest as it's happening on the 22nd, and on that day it can manifest as you getting like this brilliant idea, because the third house is our mind, and then Uranus is like the higher mind, the thoughts that seem to come to us like straight from God. So you may get some brilliant idea related to a third house subject. The third house is also, because it's the exchanging of information, it also rules commerce, marketing, business. So you could get some business brilliant idea, or it could be just as simple as you having a different routine for the day. You're in a different environment for the day that you didn't expect to be in. Third house is also siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, your neighbors. So it could have something to do, it could be some surprise having to do with them as well. And then I just want to mention that on April 10th, Jupiter, your ruler Pisces, stations retrograde at 24 degrees of Sagittarius. And retrograde planets, again, require us to turn within and to focus on what they mean more deeply, so that we can come to terms with the archetype of that planet. And Jupiter is about our vision, our belief system of life, our vision for our life, our purpose in life, our aspirations for our life. What do we believe in? What is our belief about the world and about life overall? And for you, Pisces, this is happening in your 10th house of so it's going to be related, going to have something to do with your career, your status, your status and reputation out in the world. How do you want to be known? Are you in the career that you're in? Like, is this aligning with, is this career that you're in aligned with your true vision? It can also have to do with, authority, because the 10th house is the house of authority. That could be an outer authority or your inner authority. And the 10th house is one of the parental houses. It's on the parental axis. So this could be one of your parents. Usually the dominant parent is represented by the 10th house as well. So it could have something to do with reevaluating what you believe about some authority in your life as well. And Jupiter will be retrograde until August 11th, I think, when it stations direct. And from then you'll seem to move forward again, as long as you do the inner work that Jupiter is asking you to do over these next few months. And I think that is it for you, Pisces. It sounds like you're going to have an amazing month. So enjoy and take care.